Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Ancient Current Rastafari Roots and Culture. I have with me today special guest, Sister Ama. She is the founder and director of a nonprofit organization, JAH Children. She is the author of JAH Children blog and website, a child advocate and educator. I linked with her recently while in the process of buying a steam chalice, a coconut chalice, and through our conversing, it became clear that we were both daughters of the Most High working on a similar mission, possibly with different backgrounds and different focuses, but yet moving in the same direction. And it's been a blessing to link with her. And I'm really warmly inviting you, Sister Ama, onto Ancient Current. Welcome.
Give thanks, and all those same feelings, same way. Just all of the warm greetings and just feeling thankful for the just having links with sisters, especially. All love to the brethren always. But it's always very lovely, to make links with sisters. So
for sure.
Yeah.
So can you share a little bit about your history, your background?
Sure. Where to start? There's so much to go into, and we can gloss over or go in as deep, but it's probably too much for one interview, right?
Sure.
So I would say, like a lot of, Americans, I was raised as a Christian, but also with the full knowledge of having a Jewish heritage as well, because my mother is Jewish. So knowing that I was a Christian, but knowing that I was a Jew, and having a very strong identity as a Jew, but also having a feeling of not really belonging in the United States, having very strong prophetic dreams, very symbolic dreams that would lead me to feeling that there were big events happening, celestial events happening in this time, and that I had a mission, and it was most likely not in the US. So just taking opportunities with the Christian church to reach out and help people every chance that I could. Being located in Southern California, a lot of times that was in Mexico, so we would go down there. I had a chance to visit Honduras at, I think I was age 15. And then at age 16, the next year, I visited Kenya. And that was kind of where everything, kind of came to a halt. I was like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm 16, I'm just going to stay in Africa the rest of my life, guys, right? Okay. But obviously, it doesn't work out really that way. So after 2 weeks, I had to come home.
Sure. Africa. Once you got to Mama Africa.
Yeah, I was in Kenya. We were doing outreach with children there. Children have always been, I've always known that I was meant to work with children, even when I was in diapers, literally. It's just always been my thing. Babysitting from age 8 and nannying from age 11, and always working with children. So having outreach, opportunities in other countries, and really falling in love with children, seeing the joy in their hearts and the way that they can shine through any experience, but also seeing that their experiences are very rough, and having a lot of traumatic experiences as a child as well, that really could help me connect with that feeling of vulnerability that these children face. So even at that age when I was there in Kenya, I really recognized that this is probably my calling, is to work with children. But at the time, I was very into photography. I was into like fashion photography, kind of opposite ends of things. But what I was aiming to do was to go to school for photography. And so I came back from Kenya, and that was still my aim, but I didn't really know how things were going to pan out. I ended up going to art school. And then I ended up finding out that those children in Kenya had been abused by the man that was taking care of them at that orphanage. So that was when I disenrolled in my art school, and I changed gears. And I said, okay, I'm gonna find out how I can just livicate my life. And at the time I was still in the Christian church, but I knew this is going to be what I do with the rest of my life, is to try as best as I can to be there for children. And Africa has always been, since I was there in Kenya, was always the place that I wanted to be. And I'm still in California now, but I still want to be home in Africa. So I've been back to Ethiopia a couple of times, but we can go into more of that later. I did establish JAH Children in 2016 while I was in Ethiopia, while I was in Shashamane. And
share about that, JAH Children and this
so that was when I established this organization, a nonprofit organization, and we reached like federal nonprofit status in 2019, I want to say 2018 or 2019. So it always takes a couple of years. And so in that time, we've been, trying to build up profits, trying to build up the ability to plant ourselves and have a location where we can not only give children a home and an education, but also a cultural background. Obviously, coming out of the Christian church and, going through my own realizations in life, at the same time, finding Rastafari and beginning to trod that path, and having really a lot of those pieces fit together between that love for Africa and that wanting to help children, and also, those spiritual realizations all kind of fitting together. So Rastafari definitely, changed the, I would say, the flavor of what I was trying to do with the children, and I think much more of an Afrocentric way, because
exposure to Rastafari, was your exposure here in the States, or was it in Africa, or was it the process of going to Africa and seeing things with new eyes?
No, because I was still in the Christian church. It took time. I actually, after I disenrolled in that art school, I enrolled in a Bible school because I thought I would be a missionary. I thought that's how I would go about it. After I realized that the Christian church was not for me, I enrolled in a school for education. So I just got a bachelor's in early childhood education, and I focused on program administration. So kind of had that as a minor. And with those credentials, I thought, okay, now I have the ability to teach children. I have the ability to run a program. I know what it takes to plan a program like this, all of the financials that go into it. And I can set up some kind of program. I don't know if that is like familiar with the SOS programs, SOS Children's Villages.
I don't think so.
They're, I know they are located several different countries. And I love the way that they model their living situations, because they kind of keep it in a more organic living situation, where children will be in a pod house where there's a parent or two parents, a pod parent, and all of the children, whether they're orphans or they're vulnerable children, or their families can't house and take care of them, or for whatever reason, up to I think about 12 or 14 children in one pod house. So I really liked that model, and I thought that's more organic than having 60 children crammed into one orphanage. So I kind of had planned out to have a village somewhat like this, where we can have pod houses, we can have pod parents, we can have organic agriculture, we can have our education within the center, so they're not having to go to the state sponsored schools. We can provide our own curriculum and really focus it more, of course, including all of the base essentials for curriculum, reading, writing, arithmetic, but doing it in much more of an Afrocentric way, focusing more on African culture, history, languages, arts, music, sports, and all of the things that go into African culture that get wiped away when all of the Western and British influence, and most schools in Africa are still under the British standard of education. So kind of moving away from that, moving more into an Afrocentric education, more of a homeschool type of setting as well. I think I benefited from homeschooling. I think a lot of people do. I did do a mix. I went to high school in a public school, but I think a lot of people these days are realizing the benefits of homeschooling more and more. So
I think seeing the school systems, how similar they are to the structure, or they're run by the same structure as the prison systems and the government systems. And when you see that it's these systems, and we're putting youth through this indoctrination, I think more people are becoming aware that they can do that. They can teach themselves, they can teach their children themselves. And a lot of the skills that people need are hands-on. Yes, they're reading and writing the academics, but that doesn't require sitting at a desk for 8 hours or 6 hours or whatever it is.
Right.
There's much more to it. There's much more in life to learn. And also the Jerusalem schoolroom, like there's different ways of learning than the public school system is set up.
Right. And, allowing children to foster a love for learning, a love for subject matter, because
Child-led.
Yeah, exactly. Child-led, and finding their own passion, their own interest in whatever subject matter, and doing it in their own time. I know when I was in high school, I had zero interest in learning chemistry, but now I have an interest in learning chemistry, and we are always going to be on that continual path of learning in life. So it doesn't stop at 18 or even at 25 or, whatever grade you graduate, grad school or med school or wherever. We're always going to continue learning, no matter what degrees you get or what type of education you go through. If you foster a love for learning within yourself.
Can you share a little bit about how you raise funds for JAH Children? What I have found is that you sell items in order to help raise funds for the nonprofit. Can you share about that?
Yeah, that's right. While we do accept donations, I found that it's not really a common thing for people to just give a donation, although we have gotten some donations, which we're very grateful for. For the most part, people prefer to purchase something and know that their money is going toward a great organization or toward a great cause. So what we do, we have a website, jahchildren.org. Very simple, very easy to remember, JAH children.org. And we have a lot of different items there for sale. And we try to make everything a pretty reasonable price while still making, a good enough resale value that we can support the projects that we're trying to support. Because while we're not only planning and trying to build our own location and trying to, plant our own design of living and educational system, we also are supporting an orphanage that exists right now, because I felt, in the years that have passed, we haven't really done very much other than keep planning, keep asking for grants, because it requires so much money. We'll never sell enough chalices or necklaces or whatever, or t-shirts to make up the pretty much $250,000 that we need to put down that type of acreage, to have organic farms, to have all of that income that would come from having cash crops such as coffee or whatever it might be that we can do with the land. So in the meantime, while we're trying to establish that, we're also funding Hope for Joy, which is located in Bujiri, Uganda. So we're very happy to be working with them. While their orphanage is not set up exactly how I envision, I really do think they're doing great things. Their heart is in the right place. I wouldn't say that they are a Rastafari organization, although some of their members definitely overstand the principles of Rastafari. And I don't really feel it's all about Rastafari. At the end of the day, it's about really helping children and putting food in their mouths and yeah, just those very basic needs. Sell items through our website in order to fund those children, their daily living, their food, their educational needs, as well as paying. We don't pay completely, but we contribute to the rent for them to stay on that land where they have their established orphanage. So, trying to keep that going in any way possible, while at the same time still applying for grants and trying to get our own establishment rolling. So everyone, definitely, we welcome your donations. We welcome your support. JAHChildren.org is a great place to, go locate like this top that I have on here. And I don't know, like on my camera, it looks backwards, but it says Sankofa.
No, it's clear this direction.
And it's coming in and out with my coffee.
It is.
Background. But it's the Sankofa bird, and I have several.
The ancient current. It's the ancient current, like coming forward and backwards.
Yeah.
Ceremony.
And we also have a lot of other items on there. Mama She, I love it. Feminine vibes, motherly vibes. Mama She went and bought one of our chalices. So I just went on today and I restocked those steam chalices. So we've got 2 steam chalices in stock. We've got 2 of the burn chalices in stock, and I definitely have to restock those. We've got a lot of, we have mezcal with metal, we have wood, we have stone, we have wooden ankhs, we have a lot of stone beaded jewelry. I think that all ancient cultures realized the value of certain precious stones and precious metals, which have energetic benefits to our bodies and our health. So those are things that, just like the Sankofa idea, go back and get which has been left, those that which have been forgotten. And those things that we can all still benefit from. So while I'm really trying to provide, funds for this organization, I'm also trying to provide really great, cultural items or, household items that everyone can really love and, benefit from as well. And
one thing that attracted me to the chalices was it was advertised as Rasta made. And now for me, same with what you were saying with like, it doesn't all have to be Rastafari, but especially with something that is real significant within Rastafari as a steam chalice, it to me feels good to go to somebody who is within the culture, is making these things with their hands. So can you tell me, it sounded like these things you are, as far as the chalices, you're purchasing from somebody that makes them?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yes. So the brethren who makes these chalices is located in Jamaica. And I got a link with him. I buy in bulk from him. And it's very important to me to not only to buy from Rasta, but also to buy from, I did a lot of shopping when I was in Shashamane. I really poured a whole lot of money into that economy because I think it's really important to build up the community around these children, because that feeds them, putting money in their parents' pocket feeds the children that those parents are trying to take care of. And it's not only the orphans, it's also the children with parents that are just struggling to feed their children. So I think while we're, I do make a lot of our own items, and I do a lot of the graphic design on the shirts that we have printed, shirts, cups, so many things that we have printed, and I've done a lot of the graphic design on that. But the things that I don't create, I try to buy from either, African communities or Rastafari, so that I can, build up those communities as well. And I think it's really important, that we continue to, reinvest So while I'm running short on these chalices, I'm definitely going to be placing an order with him soon to get more in stock. And yeah, these chalices are really beautiful. I've gone through several different chalice creators, and I don't know if anyone could create them who are not Rastafari. I'm not sure if anyone even knows what a coconut chalice is who is not Rastafari.
Want to explain that a little bit?
Explain
a coconut chalice.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So I have one right here, and this one is not the current model that I'm selling because as you can see, it has a wooden kutchi. So I prefer the clay kutchis because of course wood can burn, but it doesn't burn that quickly. It's not like that type of wood that just sets fire. So you can burn it for quite a while. But the coconut chalice is really important. I wish it didn't keep cutting in and out.
I kind of like it.
It's really important not to fill the chalice too much with water. I think a lot of people fill it too much and they're constantly sucking up water.
No.
You fill it up just enough so that it bubbles when you pull on it, but you don't suck water. So you're combining the elements of, earth. This is earth, all of this made from the earth, the herbs are from the earth as well. You've got the wind as you're breathing, you've got the fire, and then you've got the water. So it's all of the elements together. It's a really important, it's a device for smoking, yes, but it's also a ritual. It's also, a spiritual sacrament. So ganja use, it goes across all spectrums. People use it for fun, people use it for medicine, people use it for meditation, and all areas in between. So a chalice can be used for all of those different reasons, I think. Yeah.
Beautiful, thank you.
The ones that I'm selling now are made in Jamaica. The first coconut chalice that I ever smoked was in Shashamane, and I started out purchasing from that brethren who is there in Shashamane, but it became too expensive because Ethiopia does not grow coconuts. So for him to buy the coconuts and then resell them and ship them all the way from Ethiopia, it was too costly that I can't sell the chalices at a reasonable price at that point. So while I would really love to keep supporting, and there's certain other things that I tried to buy instead to try to support him, but the Ethiopian customs doesn't allow certain things to be shipped out, so it got very complicated. So we were really happy to find this other provider here in Jamaica, and he's making really, really great items. I think it's top-notch quality, and he's very, very sincere brethren as well. So I'm happy to be supplying these chalices from him.
Blessed.
Yeah.
That's great. When I think a lot of people, when they hear about Rastafari, they think of a Caribbean male thing. So you and I share a similar flesh color. We're also empresses, women. How has your experience within the movement been for you? And also, I'm still curious where or at what point Rastafari came into your life.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can start with when and how Rastafari kind of started to take shape. I, coming out of the Christian church, because of realizing a lot of because I enrolled in that Bible school and started to study the Bible at such a depth that I started to realize inconsistencies about the story, things that weren't lining up. I couldn't believe the words that I was singing in the church anymore. I just couldn't be there anymore. I couldn't be in the church anymore. So I had to leave, and I had to question my whole entire existence because I was raised in such a religious home. But like so many others, I think music is what led me to Rastafari. It was through, I would say, primarily culture, and Bob Marley, of course. But as I was listening to culture and I would hear the words and I knew that spiritual reality to exist. And so it was a confirmation for me that Rasta knows something that is true, you know. So I started to go down that path and realizing that Rastafari is, you know, at its core is an African movement, and having that love for Africa, you know, I think of Kwame Nkrumah, and I know that this statement was not intended for women of white flesh, or, you know, of this color, but when he says we were not born in Africa, but Africa was born in us, that's truly, that is my heart, you know, and this might be my skin color, but my heart is African.
When you see Africa as the mother, I
Yeah.
think everything changes, like Mama Africa.
Yeah.
And you can just open up to so much more once you recognize the source.
Right, exactly. And that's not to say that I don't love South American cultures. When I was in Honduras, I was at Copan. Copan is amazing. I would suggest anyone to visit the Mesoamerican pyramids, and it's such incredible, but this is also African. And I have read the Popol Vuh. I've seen in their Mesoamerican scriptures that they say they come from Africa. So there's no question about it. And there's deep mysteries of human history, you know, that we can never fathom, of the millions of years of existence of this universe, of where humans have been. Have we always been on this planet? Have we always, you know, are there erased periods of history because of cataclysms that we don't know the missing gaps? So we can't say, you know, for sure Africa is where humans come from, but we can definitely say in this inception, from the line that we can trace, this is the root, you know. So there's mysteries. I'm leaving space for that. I'm not saying that we know everything, you know, but from what I can see, from what I can trace, Africa is the mother, Africa is the root. And you know, like I mentioned, having that Jewish ancestry, realizing, you know, that Jewish people are African people, going into the ancient history of that, going into the language of that. I have this Hebrew hallelujah on my arm, but this is not the ancient Hebrew writing. The ancient Hebrew writing actually appears almost identical to the Medu-Neter, the writing in ancient Kemet, the Egyptian hieroglyphs. So you can see there's a mesh of languages, cultures, ethnicities, you know, between those peoples. So even I might appear the skin color, but all of our family roots are one, you know, all of our families come from one. So I don't feel that like in Rastafari, I have, you know, any kind of, I don't feel like I don't belong, you know. And when I'm in Africa, I don't feel like I don't belong. I feel like, yes, I'm a different skin color, but these people, I love them, they love me, we're having a great time together. This is family, you know. And yes, I can look down at my skin and I can see that my skin is a different color from them. But when you're in the moment, you're not thinking about that. You're not thinking about we're all different colors. We're thinking about what are we accomplishing together? What are we enjoying together, you know, and what are we building together? I don't think, you know.
Yeah, one heart, one root.
Yeah, I think, you know, a lot of culture and a lot of like politics these days want people to be focusing on the differences between us, and it's not where it's at, you know. That's not where it's at. The similarities between us are so much greater. And all find love and compassion for each other. Yeah,
it's one thing I try to teach my youth, that, you know, we need to love who we are and love our closer ancestors and descendants, because there's sometimes they're like, well, Africa, but this doesn't make sense. And, you know, I can see that they're trying to put it together sometimes of like, well, my skin color is not dark. And what I try to teach them is to love yourself, you know, love who you are, love how the Almighty made you, and love our roots, and also see how we are all connected. And, you know, the deep root I see as Africa, and therefore it brings the whole tree and the roots into perspective, the fruits and the roots. So well, we are wrapping things up, and I guess I'm just curious if there's anything else you wanted to share.
Yeah, I think there's so much more, that we could go into. And I don't think there's, it's definitely not enough time to cover all subject matter. I think first and foremost, like what I want to get across to people is, um, how much work can be done when we work together. We are looking for a director. It's been very, very hard to find people who are willing to put in the time, put in the effort, even just to appear at our regular meetings, much less to do work in between the meetings to keep the organization going. And I literally cannot be the treasurer and the CEO, and it's illegal for me to do. It's literally illegal. So I have to have a team. And while I have a small team that's been very faithful, it's still hard to maintain the numbers that we legally need to maintain. So we are really, really looking for people to work with us. If you have a passion for children, if you have a passion for Africa, people who want to see children protected, people who want to see children empowered, who want to see the next generation of Africa be independent and, independent thinkers, independent self-educators, and, for the next generation to bring effective change to Africa. That's really what we're looking for, is to instill all of those things in children, just through, like I said, instilling self-love in these children, not only for themselves and this one life that they have come into, but also their ancestors that have brought them here, and the beautiful culture that they are a part of, and how they can, go back and get, which has been forgotten, Sankofa. So that's what it's all about, and that's what JAH Children is about. So visit us, jahchildren.org. You can email us, jahchildrennpo@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook, JAH Children, follow us. And we're not on Instagram anymore. They kicked us off because politics and those kind of things. And that's it. And I'm really happy to be here, and I'm totally open to talking again, covering more topics. And
Yeah, I'll definitely have you back on, because I could see we could reason for hours and cover all sorts of different things.
And there's more, I know this is your YouTube channel, this is your, but I want to know more about you as well. I want to, there are things I want to ask you. How did you get into this and all of that? So I definitely want to chat more and have more, reasonings together, and, even more, include more women. Let's have a round table. Let's have 4 or 5 women on here and all get together and share and reason.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have a couple sisters kind of lined up in the distant future, but we haven't been able to pin down something. But more ones and ones that can come forward, that'd be beautiful. And we will just look at this as episode 1 with Sister Ama, and there'll be more reasonings in the future, and I'd love to share same way. So to all you listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. You've been listening to Ancient Current Rastafari Roots in Culture. Today has been Sister Ama with JAH Children, nonprofit organization. Please look her up, find the organization, support, and contribute in one way or another. Blessed love to all ones and ones. Respect.
Yes, I give thanks. More love. Give thanks, Mamashi.
Blessed, more love.